YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. All new Avios 1.6 meter twin otter. And this thing is feature packed, counter rotating props. We set ours up with differential thrust and thrust reverse. And yes, the thrust reverse and differential work together. This thing comes with two noses, so you can do a 100 or a 200 series. And the thing is big and beautiful. Look at the flaps, by the way. I gotta show you this. They are gorgeous. Split flaps, or not, they're Fowler flaps. Huge, soft tires, and it does come with floats. Check it out, links in the video description below, but don't forget the strobe anti-collision beacon. Amazing. Yes, we're on the grass. We're gonna show you a grass ops takeoff first. Take off flaps, we'll double back and go this other way. That's perfect, stay there. Okay, here we go, guys. 50% throttle. There's 100%. That's 2200 4S, and yes, the differential thrust does help a lot for stall turns like that. Very good rudder authority, and those day bright LEDs are absolutely amazing. You can see them in the bright morning sun right now. That's 60% throttle, by the way, and the thing is flying excellent. Really, really good. Light wind over our right shoulder. Let's see if we can prop hang this thing quick. 70% throttle, and then you can pull out of it and get her flying again. Absolutely wonderful. Let's see how it rips here. I haven't even touched a trim. I haven't touched the master gain. I'm gonna let it come all the way out of throttle, see what happens to it. Look how stable it is. That is phenomenal. And I gotta say, guys, this is an Avios product. It took us a long time to build it because of our complex radio system. You don't have to do the complex radio system, but I would highly recommend you do it. We only have 30% tied into our mix for both the rudder and what we use is our gear plug. So if you're using an AR637, you can still follow along and basically do what you wanna do, but you're gonna lose inside out loop here. Oh yeah, it does it with no problems. But you would lose thrust reverse. Now I do wanna talk about thrust reverse for a minute and differential thrust. There are quite a few safety concerns with regard to throttle cut. We will show how to do it, but not just how to do it, but how to do it so you don't end up chopping your hand off, okay? And not by demonstrating what not to do like we do much of the time. A little touch and go, and look at that, doesn't care what the runway surface is, it just does it. Okay, full landing flaps. Now let's slow this thing down. Look at that thing, slowing down, huge, draggy flaps. Gets the job done. Very controllable, haven't lost anything with regard to my elevator, which you do find on some planes. You lose just a lot of elevator when you put down those big, draggy flaps because you have to compensate so much. We did 6 and 10% for elevator compensation. We'll come up here, do a loop, and we'll bring it right down the runway. High speed pass for you, full speed pass, I should say. 2200 4S. How are we flying a twin 1.6 meter airplane on 2200 4S, camera crew? Can you explain that to me?
No.
That is a huge plane, and yet it is very light on its feet. It's docile in the air. It's easy to control, and it looks very good doing it.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, to be honest with you, it flies way more expensive than it actually is. And I gotta say, super impressed. Haven't even touched my game, but I did see one of my first obvious corrections there in that pass. A little bit of an overcorrection. I'm gonna turn my game down just past 50% here. And the AS3X Plus has this thing locked in. Oh, and by the way, it's not just that. I'm gonna turn on safe for you. Here's safe, okay? So as you can see, she's auto leveling. I let go of the sticks. Here's my up, let go of it. Auto levels, just takes you down the road. Let's see how it flies. We'll do a flyable pass. This is in safe. You have to move the sticks a little bit further to the margins, and it still basically feels good. So if you're looking for something as a beginner, I would say this plane is way too complicated to set up for most beginners. Sorry guys, I was almost avoiding a tree there. because evidently some jerk planted a tree in my front yard named Brian. Man, this thing is actually doing good and safe. A lot of times these plug-in flies do not get tuned. Let's try landing. Oh yeah, I can even flare with it. And guys, I gotta say, very good controls. It barely wants to tip even when I come in here with a tight, sharp turn. Okay, so let's do some STOL performance. Now I'm gonna come out of safe for this. And I just gotta show you this. The painted and the counter rotating props just make that thing look phenomenal. Now, with thrust reverse on, check this out. It's gonna help you back appropriately, and it's gonna do it in the correct directions and the correct order of operations. Now I have a 5-minute timer about to elapse, and I'm just gonna scroll over here and we're gonna show you the voltage we're at, 15.4 volts, because we do have pack telemetry set up, but it comes through the extra micro 1S pH connector that is installed. Now let's do some STOL takeoffs. We're gonna go takeoff laps. We're pointing into the wind. We're gonna see how fast it can get off the ground. We are about 3 feet from that crack. Oh, it's off the ground in about 10, and that's what takeoff. Now we're gonna do it again. We're gonna see if we can spot land this thing, because STOL performance is one of its boasts. I bet we could put it down in less than the time it took to take off, okay? Thrust reverse, yes. And I gotta say, guys, thrust reverse is a non-essential piece of equipment until you get on the water. And look how sweet it is. It's like you're starting up the engines one at a time. It totally makes up for all the effort. And I gotta say, okay, full landing flaps now. See the elevator? We're getting ready. A little bit of wind behind me. We're gonna cheat, full throttle. And there it is. Actually took longer with landing flaps. Now we're gonna do a no flap takeoff, but we gotta do some shenanigans on the way in. I gotta say, very controllable, very easy to fly, very fun. Oh, yes, and you guys see the bouncy tires? It does not bounce like you would expect because those tires are soft, guys. Okay, no flaps, takeoff STOL style, throttle cuts off, forward thrust, here we go. Holy cow, and the skid plate worked.
Better.
That was crazy. How is it that it gets off the ground quicker with no flaps? Okay, so let's bring it in for a Navy style landing here. Bringing it in right in this tight environment. And by the way, guys, the thing just doesn't stall. Watch out for the anti-UPS stick. Get into the throttle a little bit and then flare. Oh, yes! And look at that, that skid thing is working great. Oh, did I lose it? I popped it out, did I?
No, I think that's just something.
Oh, it's a worm. So there is an anti-skid stick, and I might have popped mine out because I chose not to glue it. I'm gonna throttle cut. I'm in forward thrust. And guys, I gotta say, is it on there?
No, it's just bent up.
Oh, it's bent up, dang it. So I pushed the envelope.
Yeah, you're gonna have to unbend
So guys, look at this. This is the only place we've seen any issue. And you know what it did? It pushed up into the foam, didn't it?
Yeah.
So that's something to watch for though, for real. Because check this out. That would have potentially trapped my rudder, okay? So you see, all I gotta do is glue that sucker back on there with some China glue. And you know what? You won't even know it was off of there except that I filmed it.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this plane has all the stuff I want. Give me a squish. Squish it. Back tires are squishy. Front tires squishy.
Just the right amount, really.
Spring loaded. And I gotta say, I mean, I don't do this because I think it's disrespectful to planes, but look, it just handles that drop, and instead of bouncing, it dies. That's what you want, and that's a well-engineered tire. Now we're gonna come over here and do a little bit of front yard ops here. Camera right next to me. There you go, right there. So we'll take off. You can drag out your takeoffs and make it look good too. You don't have to STOL performance on everything, okay? Holy cow. Oh yes, I just love the way this plane performs. And we're at 15.1 volts. We're gonna go back to forward thrust, and we're gonna take off this other way now. We're gonna shoot out into the sun. You can see right where you are. Take off flaps. Let's drag this out and go over the hill and just, oh, bounce to life. And look how slow it can actually fly. We're not talking about, you know, barely making it. We're in full control and authority the whole time. Those huge and long ailerons just keep this thing very tidy as you're flying. And that's with AS3X Plus. I gotta say, it is locking this plane in. And sometimes the complaint is we might call out a locked-in plane early. I didn't on this one because I wanted to take that into account and think, hey, is it really feeling locked in? To me, it feels dang locked in, and here's how I can tell. Because everything is crispy about it, and I've flown a lot of twin otters. Well, not a lot, I've flown like what, 4 of them or 5 of them?
Yeah,
I can say this plane is phenomenal. It feels amazing. It's light on its feet. It's got enough size. And look at the LEDs, inside pass. Look at the LEDs, guys. And I love the differential thrust lets you do things like this that you could not get away with if you just chose to set it up like the ordinary plane that you could do. Now, I'm not saying you can't do that, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. If you don't want to have differential thrust, you could totally set it up. It comes with all the cabling to do it. We added 1 extension cable to accomplish thrust, or to accomplish the full functioning. Guys, that was not a good landing, and it just took it. It just took it. That was no thrust reverse there, and just dragging it out, not really even paying attention to what I'm doing. We added the 1 extension cord because you have to come off of a breakout box that's up in the wing. And then what you can do is you basically set your plane up. Look at that, flares are endless. You can roll down on the mains, it's just gorgeous, I love it. Rudder authority is fantastic. I did much of that turn with the rudder. Now keep in mind, with differential thrust, if you set your percentages too high, you can get into dangerous conditions. Look at this, upside down flight performance, almost symmetrical, but we are flying at almost, what are we at, like 10 minutes of flight time? How is it even possible on a twin 50C Smart Pack, okay? So this is 2200 50C, and the thing is just killing it, folks.
It looks amazing.
It really does look good. I gotta say, I love the way this looks. And if you like the longer, less stubby nose, it comes with it. You don't have to buy it. And yes, the floats do come with it. And the floats have big, heavy 13.6. Okay, so we're fine. I just got my flight pack warning. First telemetry warning. We'll get those every 15 seconds now. So that means we're at 3.3 or so per cell. Okay. Let's see if thrust reverse still works. Yeah, it works, but it's a little bit weak. Okay, gotta say, super impressed, 14.5 and recovering. When you start to tell that your battery has sagged to the point, what happens is these lipos, you operate in this range. So it's like 0 to 4.3 or 4.4, or 0 to 4.2, okay? You're gonna operate down to about 3.3, maybe 3.2, 3.1, and then it's gonna really sag, okay? Because you're always operating under load. When you get out of the load, it snaps back. It snaps back, it snaps back, and it's like this spring. So imagine a rubber band up here, and this is the bottom of the pool. You never get here. If you're here, you can't even charge them, okay? But this is the operating range. So now let's zoom in on that. You pull down the range. You pull down the range every time you hard load it, and it just pulls it down, and it kind of pulls down and pulls down and pulls down, and eventually it gets really springy and it doesn't want to come back, and it just goes down with gravity. And that's what's happened. We heard the first audible warning and I responded. I didn't have pulsing packs. I didn't have low voltage cutoff trying to kill my plane. 2200 4S, that is amazing. How long was that? We're looking at about 7 minutes 51. I've been talking for 10 minutes. On a twin?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I think that's great, because that is not a small plane, but you know, it is light on its feet, it looks good, and I just love the fact, even with reverse thrust, I can sit here and do these cool maneuvers just to make it look good. By the way, my only complaint with this plane is it took a lot of effort to set up, but how else are you gonna do it when you're dealing with a twin that has differential thrust? And it was not hard work. It was just a lot of them.
Yes.
A lot of steps. We've done hard work steps before, and we've done tedious things before. There was some tediousness to this with regard to cable management. And yes, I am a little bit annoyed this popped off. Oh, that was a glove chunk. I'm a little bit annoyed that this popped off, but you know what? It's worth putting on. First of all, this thing is optional. You don't have to put the tail skid in. And I'm a little bit nervous that it went up there and hit the rudder. So when I glue this on, I'm gonna glue it with more glue. And I would like to see some more persistence in there, maybe a vertical strut or horizontal so that when you stick it into the foam, it locks in a little better. But if this is my complaint and genuine complaint and everything else is subjective because of the way we set up the plane, that plane is worth getting. And I know you're gonna like it.
I think it bears repeating. When people see how long the unbox build radio setup is, I could have built this plane.
Yeah.
It was not hard to build.
Well,
it just took a lot.
I think the differential thrust is where people are gonna need help, okay? And that's part of the reason why I want you to see this. Throttle cut is on and it doesn't move, okay? Throttle cut's on and it doesn't move at all. Look, stick, okay? Now watch this. I also set up fail-safe. So if you don't set up fail-safe with differential thrust, it's not impossible that your second motor would go to neutral instead of going to low. So we show you how to do that. Here, I'll just actually, I never do this. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the transmitter and just show you what happens. Okay, this is not a good idea. You wanna be in full command and control of your aircraft. So it says cancel or shut down. I'm going to shut down and I went to shut down. This is gonna lock into safe and we shouldn't see either motor come on. We don't, throttle cuts on, and look, it's in safe now, okay? Should be. Well, obviously the motors aren't working. So with fail-safe, it's relatively easy to fix and turn on. Okay, so turning on the transmitter, throttle cuts on, throttle sticks down. My fear is that some kid will set this up and they're gonna set this up on the gear channel like we did or whatever channel is pluggable. And the right or the left motor is gonna spring to life.
Yep.
Because it's not just about the first time you power up, because you've got a lot of protections on your initial power up, okay? It's about when you land and something goes sideways on you, okay? Whatever weird situation causes you to turn it off or turn it back on, I want you guys to be safe. We're gonna show you how to do that. Now also, thrust reverse, throttle cut, everything works, okay? So if you had a little bit of stick bumped in there and you come out of it, it's gonna come to life, okay? There's forward thrust, there's reverse thrust, this is also reverse thrust. We'll show you how to set all that up. And yes, the differential thrust does work in both directions. I have 30 plus on one, both top and bottom of the range, and then I have minus 30 plus on the top and the bottom of the range. We'll show you all that. I think we ended up using 4 mixes and a 5th maybe. But you have to watch the Unbox Build radio setup to see all the details. We use an AR 8360T. You can get away with the AR 637T, but if you do that, you're gonna lose the ability to do the thrust reverse, okay? And I think it's worth it. You gotta do it, guys. And if you get the 8360T, you can add crow if you decide to do it, and then your ailerons can be split out. It's gonna take one more extension cord and a little bit more heartache because all you have to do is basically turn that feature on and separate out. The 8th channel pluggable will still be available. Master gains, you'll notice, are here, and then the trims are at nothing. 0, 0, 0, and 0, folks. That is amazing. For being a brand new out-of-box plane with a complex wing type and all sorts of different considerations, the Fowler flaps, or I don't know if they just call them slotted flaps, but show them that real close. When we do the takeoff flaps, they come down and you've got this pocket that opens up. And it's so beautiful because it actually makes a big difference in the way this plane performs. Some planes just hinge, and that's another thing. We ran into some technical challenges just because it was kind of hard to figure out how to get the linkage in there, okay? We were running our servos the wrong direction at that time. It confused us because the way that the pull, this is actually a pusher instead of a puller, because a lot of times the flaps are hinged and they pull down into the deployed position. Well, this one pushes out to the deployed position. So not a big deal, just took us a second. Also, I wasn't thrilled about having to glue these fences with CA. These ones we could get with China glue, they worked really easy. But beyond that, lots of little scale details. As you can see, those have to be glued. They do give you fillers to put black here if you decide you don't want to put these wing fences in. But why would you not put wing fences on this thing? And look, vortex generators that bring the air across the rudder, all the hinges have reinforcements except for the ailerons are a glue dip reinforcement top and bottom, okay? It's hard to tell, but if you put your finger in there, you can kind of feel it's sticky, okay? Same thing here, 1, 2, 3 connection points. They're gonna help protect this big, long rudder. Lots of reinforcement laterally but not as much as we've seen on some 3D planes. So there is a possibility of twisting, but it's limited. Also, you have to remember this is not a super speed demon. It's not gonna be a real fast plane, but it's fast enough to do all the things you wanna do with it. And for that reason, I gotta say, Avios, great job. I'm never gonna beat up a manufacturer because we decided to do complex wing types and, you know, different electronic structures in there that take more time, because I like to be able to do it and have a reason to do it. Twins that aren't counter-rotating seem lame to me. These are counter-rotating. It looks like a 6-piece prop too, because there's a front, a back, and then 3 blades. So I don't know if that means when we buy replacement parts, we'll be able to get just individual blades and have packs in case we break one at a time, or if that's just the way that they assembled them. But they look really cool. So if you lose a spinner, it still looks cool under the spinner, which is kind of neat. Also, floats came with it. All the hardware comes with it. We will eventually do another like pseudo unbox build radio setup portion for installing the floats, and we will fly it from the damn gift shop, because at the end of the day, here on Brian Phillips RC, not from the damn gift shop necessarily, but from the pond itself. But here on Brian Phillips RC, we aim to please in a couple of different main ways. We want to bring people back to the hobby that have been on hiatus. And we speak to you guys because there's so much technology that's crammed into these little creations. We want to help get you there. And if you're brand new to the hobby, we want to bring you up to speed as fast as possible. Full disclosure, guys, this thing flies very good. It would be an easy beginner plane to fly, but it's not an easy beginner plane to build. If you don't have a buddy that can walk you through it like Brian Phillips RC on our video, and if you're not willing to follow instructions step by step, because it's complicated, then you're probably gonna wanna start with something a little easier to build. This thing is not hard to fly though. You can go to the sticks on this, you can fly this thing, it's gonna do great for you. Also, I gotta say AS3X Plus and Safe both feel great. To be honest with you, it's just one of these planes where I think it would do okay even without a stabilizer, but I don't fly without stabilizers because it just makes them look better, okay? Also, we do have wind here. We have about, what, 5 to 10?
Yes.
So it'd be like 3 or 4 sustained, and then we get gusts that go up to about 10. We felt a few gusts. In tailwind, the thing liked to scoot down into that tail down configuration I noticed as I was flying. I see a lot of twin otters like to fly like this. They have this kind of like angle, angle of incidence, like going up like this. Interesting thing, I didn't notice that much with this plane. That's kind of weird. I don't know if I'm happy about that, because I felt like you lose a lot of efficiency when you fly a plane like that, but the thing looks great in the air. Also, with the second nose type, if you're not crazy about this more blunt style nose, you can go up to the pointy one. Our fitment was a little bit worse on our longer nose, so we chose to go with this one. And also it just makes the plane a little easier to store for us. We have a storage issue right now.
Yep.
You may have noticed.
May have.
But man, oh man, if you could get past 2 or 3 little tiny details, this thing comes out of the box as good, if not better, than some of the bigger competitive brands that are out right now. But at the end of the day, the build is still a lot more work, and there's still some more cable management and some just like tidying up that could be done. Namely, things like, you know, having these things pop off on the first run is a little bit frustrating, but I gotta say, it's helpful to have this. You're gonna wanna do this.
Yes.
So I might investigate coming up with a better way to mount, or just have, maybe I can take another piece of steel that's a little longer and just stab it into the body of the foam or something, so it just got a little bit more to resist, because when you hit, it's just gonna lever, okay? Good idea, just not maybe perfectly executed. The other thing you could do is you can leave this metal object out and just have the skid here, which wouldn't create that lever moment. Couple thoughts.
If you want to do differential thrust, you need to preview the unbox build radio setup, because we changed our minds partway through, so we had to take the wing
we had
off
to take the wing back off. Yep.
So like jump around and figure out how to do that without having to take the wing off again, if you know you're gonna do that right away.
If you know you're gonna do it, because we were thinking that we would add that feature when we put the floats on, but then I was like, nah, we gotta add it now, because it's just, and I'm so glad we did it. Guys, there are times that we squeeze features into planes and we are just like, that was a waste of time. This was not a waste of time. I loved it. It worked really good. In fact, we're gonna taxi into the shade because I wanna look at this in the shade, talk about the lights for 2 seconds before we wrap this up. The lights are amazing. Look at the anti-crash beacon at the top. It looks very realistic. It is day bright looking, and I can tell you those forward-facing lights are like super bright, super bright, okay? The other thing too to keep in mind is with thrust reverse, you can taxi this thing around like nobody's business. And I just love watching the differential thrust take action. Now, I am gonna caution you. You may have seen our crash reel that's running right now. It includes the EC 1500, which is one of my faves, and it's a heavy, bulky plane. You can put 1 million batteries in it. You can have like enough capacity to run a small house for 3 weeks in that thing. And I crashed it right over there because of, you guys know what it is, differential thrust, okay? Differential thrust got me into a situation I couldn't get myself out of. Now, of course, it's a pilot issue, but that was a contributing factor to my crash. If you set up your differential thrust greater than 30%, you will eventually get into a place where you can yaw this thing out of control, which will be fun. So you might want to try it. But I would suggest that when you make your mix, you assign a switch like C or something that you're maybe not using. Oh, you know what else we never set up? We never set up any dual rates in Expo.
Oh, we never did.
Holy cow. We're at 100% rates on everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna just show you guys right now how we do this. If you guys have never seen a Brian Phillips RC unbox build radio setup, normally what we do is we do 5, 10, and 20. And I can tell you right now, we don't need it, but I'm gonna still set it up because this thing is gonna feel so good when we take off. Okay, so then we start here, we can go here if we need it, and we can go here if we want it more sensitive, or here if we want it less sensitive, okay? And then we just replicate that on all 3 of the axis, all tied to switch F. And you're like, well, why do you not split them out, Brian? The reason we don't split them out is because for the average Joe, you just need a little something to get you to the ground. Once you're to the ground, you can make your change, and once you've made your change, then it's a non-issue. You just change it, you have it set, you kind of find where it feels good, and then you go with it. And I'm thinking this thing is gonna be like awesome now, because it was awesome before. It's gonna be even more crispy up in the air, okay? And then some of you guys are gonna buy this plane and you're gonna fly it like crazy 3D all the time, and that's totally cool. We're not trying to take that away from anybody. If that's your bag of tricks and you wanna do that, then all I can say is good luck with that. You'll enjoy it, it'll be fun. Because as you can see, you can hover the thing at 70% throttle condition and still get 10 minutes of flight time. That is incredible and very good for a bigger plane like this. Now, yes, there are bigger, and they are considerably more expensive, like to the tune of 3 or 4 times as much as this. And they're available right now, but you'll be disappointed with a lot of details about it, except for the flight performance, which is very good. Unless, of course, you get crappy motors that throw magnets. So anyway, all I've got to say is, good job, Avios. HobbyKing's game is stepping up. And so we're super excited to be part of that. Because at the end of the day, anytime that these manufacturers start making improvements that are marketed, we want to bring them to you guys so you can say yes and pull the trigger. When you do pull the trigger and you buy this, buy it from our links. That's how you help get us compensated for the time that we spend on these videos. We know how to set them up. I don't need to share that, but I do it because I want to help people, and that is predominantly why we do it. Because when we bring value to YouTube, then YouTube brings value back to us. And that is the equation that we've been operating on for like 10 years almost. And you guys have always come through. You've always come through. Some of our competitors on YouTube, they end up selling ad marketing. We sell planes, okay? So they sell annoying ads, which we do too, of course, and that's how they make their money. We make our money on people buying stuff. Because at the end of the day, we want you guys buying stuff that's gonna make you happy. And if this Twin Otter is not your thing, don't buy it. Buy something you do love. But I mean, we just did a yak the other day from HobbyKing. Great, except for the wheels. It likes to pull really bad on the ground. This thing is phenomenal in ground handling. Whoever did the landing gear on this needs a raise, and you need to put him in charge of doing the V4 or whatever it is on the yak, okay? Because the landing gear on this are really good. And I gotta say, soft landing gear, get me every time. Just like back in the day when we weren't getting flaps and LEDs. And then all of a sudden, everybody just said, hey, we're 400 planes in. I've listened to Brian complain about it. Maybe we should do it. Well, I'm pretty sure it wasn't just me. But the thing is, I was a loudmouth about it. Flaps and LEDs, yes, please. I don't care how small the plane is. I want flaps. I like a wide flight envelope. I like slowing my planes down, okay? If you don't, figure out why I like it by doing it. You will be amazed how much more life you can squeeze out of a plane by flying it slow, okay? The other thing too is it's a lot easier on the gear. which is ironic because I want soft gear so I can come in and make my landings look like I'm a superstar. I'm not a superstar, man. These things bounce like crazy if you have hard tires. And I guarantee you, the soft tires play a huge role in how good those landings look. And I was not doing that great, okay? This is always our first flight or second flight, sometimes our third flight. It's rarely our 20th or 30th flight. Our second thoughts are usually our fourth or fifth flight, okay? There are some exceptions to that, admittedly, but this thing here, that's our Virgin Maiden flight. And it was very good, okay? 0 clicks of trim. I barely turned down my knob just a little bit, and to be honest, after kind of feeling it out, I feel like we were pretty good at 1X, right in the center, factory defaults for AS3X gains. How else can you complain? So, you're gonna complain when you see how long the unbox build radio setup is. And yes, that's well deserved. There are a couple of things you can skip. Remember, Megan brought this up earlier. You can leave the wing, when you're building the wing, you can separate the wire for your throttles. Follow that step, maybe skip ahead, see how we did it, and then go back to where you were. Yep. The build part is gonna be the same for everybody, except if you wanna split out the ailerons, then you need to split one more set, and you'll take that downstairs, and you'll understand what I mean when you watch the build. But by the way, I haven't even showed you inside here. It is huge inside, but look where the battery is. It is at the front bulkhead. Yes, I did have to take a 1.5 millimeter and adjust this by about, I don't know, a millimeter or so. And then 2200 4S all the way forward. That gets our CG close. The CG is 50 millimeters back, and it balances really nicely, okay? But just remember, if you do thrust reverse, and if you do differential thrust, look where my hand is. Look where my hand is, guys. You are in the chop zone, okay? Don't put your hand in a blender. There's 2 ways people predominantly get hurt in this hobby. Lipos, be careful, charge them where you can see, where you can hear. Don't go to sleep, leave them charging, put them on a hard surface. You know, those are the basic things. You can do fire safe bags and all that stuff if you want to go really crazy. But we've never had a problem. We just put them on a hard surface. If you have something that burns, keep it away from 400 other lipos. And also I can say, the other thing is prop safety. This thing has 2 props that are octagonally driven. There's not gonna be any slip in there at all because it's not like a collet with a prop adapter. These things have a slide on and lock on style design, okay? They're not gonna stop for your bones and fingers and stuff. They're gonna go through them until they break, okay? So just be really careful setting this up. I got caught on one plane, and it was a Twin Commander UMX, and I had 2 receivers, and I was doing all sorts of god-awful stupid things with it, and I got like a little paper cut on my hand. I've seen guys that have been cut really bad. So just be careful, guys. If you're brand new to the hobby and you're just starting with this plane, first of all, I'm not suggesting you do that. I don't think you should, but I'm gonna tell you this. If you follow our video and you get somebody that knows what they're doing to help you, you'll probably have good success with this. It flies really good, okay? 13.6, I got a flight pack update. So also, I did have to use an adapter in here because these XT60s on some of the Avios models are maybe not super robust, which is ironic because guess where I got all this stuff? HobbyKing. And I've been using the stuff I got when I was a brand new pilot for years. Telemetry is freaking out because I disconnected my pack, okay? So hopefully we've answered all your questions. We try to give you a holistic solution when you watch Brian Phillips RC, because at the end of the day, we know that there's a lot of content on YouTube. We know that people have already done this video, and we know that you guys are probably just on the fence. You're trying to decide, hey, is it for me or is it for somebody else? And I can't blame you for that. We're gonna show you all the tips and tricks on how to make this good. Full disclosure, this one's a fairly new pack. It's maybe had 10 cycles through it. So new packs do better, okay? Keep that in mind. If you're using a really old beat up pack, or if you get like a Turnigy pack or something like that, maybe you get a little bit less flight time, maybe you get a little bit longer. Auto balancing and smart makes a big difference, okay? If it auto balances while you're flying, then that means you're not gonna have sag on one cell that drops you down to like 9 volts prematurely, okay? That's one of the reasons why smart packs make sense, and it's not just a maintenance item, okay? But we also have a China Hobby Lines 4S 2200 30C that we could throw in this. The thing felt not lacking at all in power in any way. So the 50C was probably a good call, but it's probably unnecessary, okay? Tons to say about this model. I love the way it went together. I don't love the way the paint matches. It's very weak here. The jigging was maybe not great, But the thing is, the dark red compared to the light red is probably the biggest eyesore on this plane, and it's not that big of a deal, okay? We point stuff out like this because we love doing this, and we want the best out of our manufacturers. Gray tips, black. This is black because it's a different material. This is gray, it's a paint job. These are de-icing, okay? De-icing, de-icing. So it's actually designed. They have even got de-icer down on the fairings that go out to the main gear. It's so cool. I mean, they really did a great job. And sometimes we see some of these planes are like cartoony looking, and other times we see where they're very scale looking. This is probably on the scale of super cartoony to scale. We're probably closer to the scale side of the spectrum than we are to the cartoony side. And I'm not taking anything away from cartoony. Some of our favorite planes, Carbon Z Cub, okay? The T28, Carbon Z T28, you know? But then you go on the flip side of that, you go with something that's, you know, 1.8 meter Ranger, okay? It's got the cartoony feel, but man, it is one of my favorites because it flies so dang good, easy build, beautiful plane. You know, it just depends on what you're going for. And I think they did a good job of striking the balance between keeping it light and keeping it beautiful. Because at the end of the day, that is one of the fatal flaws that HobbyKing used to have 10 years ago. And I don't want to call it a fatal flaw, but you had to be a pretty good pilot because the planes were heavy. They were heavy. They were a pound or two heavier than they needed to be. That's why the Lancaster kept losing features over the years, even though it became newer and newer and newer. And I think they've got a new one too. I can tell you this from experience, lighter planes tend to fly better. Not always, but generally. And it depends on where the weight hits in the model, okay? Great design, great execution. I love this plane, it's good. I know you will too. When we do these reviews, you guys know I'm partial to airplanes. I love them. We do a lot of helicopters now too, but I just think they did such a good job on this. All the things that we gripe about on planes, this plane answers most of them, okay? And they do a good job of it. The only gripe that they didn't get right was the cable management and assembly took a little bit longer than it could have. But what are you gonna do? I mean, there is a certain point where it's like, okay, you just gotta take this on, Brian. This is part of your job.
Well, and now it's assembled and you don't have to do it again.
And I will forget very quickly the pain and suffering of a long build if I have a great plane that comes out of it.
Exactly.
And I can give you one example, PT-17. What is that size? 1.7 meter? It is, that was like a 40-hour video.
Yeah.
Oh, with time lapse. So guys, imagine how long that took me to build. Yeah, like years. And then I broke the landing gear on like the third flight, okay? But then I fixed them with glue and it's ready to fly again.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, you forget the pain of a good build or a bad build for a good plane. You remember the pain of a bad build for a bad plane. And there are planes that are just like this that take twice as much work and suck more when they're built. Not necessarily a twin Otter, but just in this size class and quality class and price class.
Yes.
Okay? And we'll help you decide between them here on Brian Phillips RC, because that's what we do. All right, a little bit longer, long-winded because it needs it. This plane, not only is it a longer wingspan, it has a lot to talk about, which is important. And we want to give you guys good information here because I know a lot of times you're making actionable decisions and not everybody has unlimited budgets and RC manufacturers sending planes out, okay? So I understand we're in a unique circumstance in that regard. And so we want to protect your interests as much as we possibly can. And so one of the ways we do it is show you amazing details like inside the cockpit. That is so cool, the instrument cluster. Guys, they did a great job on this plane. Get one. Links in the video description below. We hope to get you more flight footage. It may follow after, it may have come before, but either way, watch the unboxed build radio setup. There's a lot to it and we'll help you go step by step, back to the last step, and then back a few more steps and then back to where we started. I promise.
Yes.
Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Come back for more. If you want to support us, and thanks for being Patreons, guys. If you're a Patreon or a YouTube member, thanks. We're up to like hundreds of members now, which really helps. That regular support helps take the edge off of some of this hard work because you may not realize it, but we had multiple past 1 o'clock in the morning working on this plane, okay? That's what happens when you have a family and you have a life going on. You have 4 kids and you're doing construction, all sorts of stuff. But anyway, thank you for being there to support us. If you want to be a supporter and you're not a supporter yet, check out the links in the video description below. We've got Patreon for monthly support, YouTube members for monthly support, and then YouTube Super Thanks for one time or PayPal for one time. All those things are nice, and we really appreciate you guys being in that club of people that want to really be part of this. Thanks. But really, what we're after is your heart for airplanes, helicopters, quads, VTOLs, and leaf blowers. Because at the end of the day, the best way you can really support us is watch a video, smash the like button, click the bell when you do subscribe so you get notified of new content. And then when you see something you can't live without, buy it from the link on our channel. That is the big ticket. That's how we make this work. And we appreciate you guys being with us. By the way, quick damn gift shop update. There hasn't been much activity out there, but there's been tons and tons and tons and tons of activity at banks, at rock quarries, at building companies, at contractors, at dirt workers, at excavators. We have talked to probably 100 people. We've got things moving in all directions. It's kind of like a little micro explosion of activity.
Yeah.
And we are this close to getting started on extending the runway, crosswind strip, dam runway, and the overshoot for 120 extra feet on the main runway. Overshoot's gonna go in front of the garbage pile. That garbage pile will eventually move, by the way.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, it's coming. It's coming quick. And it's coming because you guys have always been there to back us up, okay? I got a good day job. We've worked our butts off, my wife and I both, for many years. We're not young, okay? We used to be. We were that thing once.
Once, yeah, a long time ago.
And so yes, if you work hard, kids, and you save your pennies, eventually you'll have enough to do something with it. We are in the process of doing it, and yet the bank still owns most of it, just to be clear. We're gonna let the bank own some more, and it's gonna be awesome, but we are stretching ourselves thin doing it. So guys, thanks for being there. We really appreciate you. The best way you can support Brian Phillips RC is support yourself buying airplanes from our links. All right, come back for more. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips, Avios 1.6 meter. This thing's huge, twin otter. Comes with two different styles of nose. There's a 100 series and the 200 series, and one of them is a little bit more pointy. We're gonna fly with this one. This plane is awesome. We've already flown it once. We're gonna share another flight from a different vantage while the sun goes down. And then we're gonna try to get you one more. Beautiful tires. I know what you guys are thinking. Why aren't you flying from floats right now? Good question, because we didn't set it up that way. Okay, here goes nothing, guys. 5-minute flight timer, but we also have telemetry. So we're gonna just kind of keep an eye on the telemetry voltage, and we'll have the timer go off about halfway through this flight, presumably. Tires are awesome. This plane gets off into the air in no time at all. That's fine right there. This plane does really fantastic flying. Can you come back over by the trees, please? Mm-hmm. The differential thrust is super handy in stall turns. And look at those day bright LEDs. One step over to your left. Thank you. So folks, if you haven't already experienced the 1.6 meter, it is something else. I really have enjoyed it so far. Like I said, it was kind of a long and tedious build for us, but that's because we added all sorts of features. And look at this thing right over the water. So dang cool. And you gotta love a twin otter, especially a twin otter that flies on 2200 4S that's 1.6 meters. It's huge. And you're gonna get decent flight times with an amazing flight envelope. Good calm weather here. Of course, you can hover the thing at 75% throttle and fly out of maneuvering, which is so much fun. In fact, why don't we give you guys a quick hover here while we've got something in the field of visual reference. That was not very good execution. There you go. By the way, my battery is all the way at the front of the firewall, and with those differential thrust motors counter-rotating, you can just get away with whatever you want. It's so much fun. Let's do a couple of touch and goes on this relatively rough strip. Okay, so takeoff flaps, 2200 4S. I'm running on a 50C pack, but you wouldn't have to run a 50C pack. And you can stop it on a dime, guys. The thrust reverse is really good, and yes, it does work, but that little, did you see the little anti-skid stick? Yeah. It just stuck into the ground. So just keep in mind, it does like to pivot on its wheels, okay? So if you're taxiing around on ground, the soft tires are tremendous. But check this out, guys. It is just so much fun to fly. And it does an amazing job of staying in command and control the whole time. It's got presence in the air without being hard to fly or super duper expensive. Oh, that is so sweet, going right overhead, okay? Mm-hmm. Love it. And I gotta say, folks, we have not had an Avios product where we've been this excited about it for pretty much ever, because this thing is really well done. It's got good scale details. It's got plenty of power. It's not ever gonna be a super fast plane, but the thing is, it's got some speed if you want it. And that's why I am really in love with this plane, but not necessarily with the bug that's on my elbow. So if you guys are brand new to RC and you think, hey, is this gonna be good for me as a brand new beginner? I would say any twin engine plane is gonna not be the best choice for a beginner, but that doesn't mean you couldn't do it, okay? Now, I don't want you to find failure in your early stages. I want you to find success. And a big part of finding success is knowing what you can handle. That was my timer for 1 minute. And I can tell you this, you can probably fly this plane no problemo, but what you're gonna have trouble with is setting it up. There's quite a bit involved. It is a plug and fly plane, which means that you're gonna have to know what you're doing. We're gonna help get you there, okay? Watch our unbox build radio setup. It is 5.5 hours of glorious, delightful, nothing frustrating at all happened in the entire thing.
Nope, not a bit.
And you guys will love it. If you're brand new to the hobby, you're just coming back, you're in the right place here at Brian Phillips RC. We're gonna get you up to speed. We have a website, bprc.me, or you can just go to brianphillipsrc.com if you prefer. We'll help get you up to speed so that you can enjoy and live, that's our timer, live the RC experience with us. We're gonna try to get you up to speed so you don't even need to watch our videos after a while, and that's really our aim. We're gonna get you guys out of the chair and into the air, and if we can help you find good planes, planes that actually do all the things that they've told us they're gonna do, then we're gonna do that exactly. And check that out, thrust reverse. Guys, it's not overrated. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. We're at 15.2 volts, tons of power left. Obviously got the beautiful new pond, beautiful night. The sun is finally going down close to the horizon. We're gonna keep flying this pack, and then we'll probably switch out and start up there as well. But if you guys are brand new to the channel, thanks for being here with us. We aim to please. We wanna show you guys all the stuff you need to know about this plane. That's why our content is so long. We're gonna show you the entire process, start to finish. We're not pulling any punches, and we don't make excuses for any mistakes that they make at the manufacturing end. And so when you come here, you're gonna get the whole story. The full truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God is what we like to say, and that's what we mean. And we stand by it, guys. At the end of the day, it's really easy to blow smoke on YouTube, but we really want this hobby to be a winning experience for not only the manufacturers, but also for those of us that are out enjoying it. Check this out. Oh, that's so cool. I'm gonna go out over the damn runway. By the way, the damn runway might actually be built next week. That's kind of what we're aiming for. And we may actually have our base in next week for the damn runway, which is just super exciting, guys. You have no idea how much work has gone into this property. Even if you know me and your name rhymes with Restaban, there's only so many things I can tell people about this whole experience. Camera crew knows pretty much all of it.
Yes.
But it is just an incredible amount of workload that's gone into this labor of love called Brian Phillips RC and the property that we film from, which is our home. And we love it here, guys.
Do you want me to walk with you?
No, I want you to stay there.
Okay.
I'm just gonna try to get a different vantage point here. 14 volts. We're still very good on voltage. You can pretty much fly this, I think, down to as low as something like maybe about 9.5, 10 volts. And what you may not know about Brian Phillips RC is just all the different projects that are about to happen here. It's gonna be a fury of activity for like 2 years, maybe 3, depending on if we can get the funding in place. We'll do it as quick as we can, but it is gonna be even more of an aerodrome than it is right now. And we love what it's become. Guys, look at how nice those tires are. That is a rough stop. The last vehicle to drive across that was a bulldozer, okay? Listen to the scream.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Oh, that was pretty close. Up and over, and then back down. Take off flaps here, keep that elevator alive, and there it is, folks. You're probably wondering, why do you have boulders next to your runway? Well, just because. Trade sides. I want the guys to see the different vantage point. Because I'm at 14.6, I cannot believe how long you can fly this plane. It is just amazing, okay? It is an incredible experience. It's something to behold in the air. It comes out of the box, and it seems like it's gonna be a 1,000,000-step process to put it together. Actually, building this plane is not a problem at all. It's just setting up the differential thrust and being safe about it so that your throttle hold works. That's really where the time comes from, okay?
Yeah.
So if you guys are brand new to the hobby and you don't want to chop up your fingers and look like some sort of a hamburger patty, then you're in the right place. We'll teach you how to do it so that you can have success. And no, you don't have to fly upside down like a confused pilot to enjoy flying, okay? You can fly right side up or upside down. It's totally up to you. And by the way, here's some safe action. Did you see that? I just literally flipped the switch and now the plane returns to level as soon as I let go of the sticks. That's what safe does. Sensor assisted flight envelope. I'm out of the sticks, I'm out of the throttle, and look at that thing come to a level attitude. I'm gonna give her heck. Check this out. Let go of the sticks. Look at that, right there. And guys, I'm just gonna show you this right now. Camera crew's gonna pan. Right here, I'm coming out of the turn, and all you're gonna do is look, and you'll see hands off the sticks. Now pan back, and there it is. I just pulled up a little bit so I didn't hit that tree. Okay, so now into AS3X Plus. I'm gonna come close, hon, you good?
Okay.
So guys, if you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC and you don't know who I am or why it matters what I think, we've done hundreds of planes, thousands of videos, not just about planes, helicopters, quads, VTOLs, leaf blowers, and the occasional tractor, and all sorts of stuff about this property. And our experience herein has been amazing. Ooh. 13.5 is our warning here, okay? So if you guys want to see more about what we've done here and how we've made it an enjoyable experience, and maybe some of the ways it hasn't been so enjoyable. 13.6 volts, guys. That is an incredible, not only good flight, but 6 minutes and 2 plus 5 is 11 minutes of flight time on a small battery, guys. This is a big plane, and this is not a big battery, okay? Now, I'm not saying we haven't had 1.5 meter planes, but 1.6 and big, that is a big plane. That is a good flight time, okay? So without further ado, we're not probably gonna take you on a nature walk. You'll have to stay tuned for another one. And this is our property. Welcome to Brian Phillips RC. This is what we do. We do it seriously because we love this hobby, and we're about ready to make another runway. It's gonna be awesome. And by the way, where you see those little mini bales, those bales are like about knee high, 75 pounds. We make those on this property. And yes, that's about where the building is gonna go, God willing. And there's gonna be a road that goes right past, goes up that hill a little bit, and that's gonna be what we call the dam runway because it's on the dam. And then that's gonna be called the dam gift shop because it's next to the dam.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen National Lampoon's, I believe it's Vacation,
Yes.
then just watch that sometime and you'll understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So if you want to know where the damn gift shop is, it's still sitting in a lumber mill somewhere.
Needed a dam permit and a
Yeah. Oh, there was lots of dam permits
dam
involved.
engineering and
yes,
yeah.
we did that last year and the year before. That was
before
supposed to be a
that.
3-month project.
It was great.
It turned into a 16-month
It's our
project.
favorite.
So wait, we'll see how long this one
Yeah,
takes.
right, exactly.
All right, guys, if you want to support Brian Phillips RC and all the things we do here on this channel to help you succeed, check out the links in the video description below. Buy these planes, quads, VTOLs, leaf blowers, and weed whackers, as well as batteries. Whatever meets your fancy, whatever you need, whatever you're in the market for, we'll help you make a good decision. Because at the end of the day, we know that there's a million awesome choices and there's about 10 million terrible ones. We're gonna help you make a good one so you can find success. And by the way, this plane is great, okay? We don't oftentimes say that, we just say what we like about them. But I'm gonna tell you something, I really enjoy and appreciate this plane. I know you guys wanted to see it on floats initially, but we're gonna still do floats too. We'll do that on what we call our second thoughts, okay? So it'll be here, just be patient. We'll have it, it's gonna be awesome. And then also I wanna say special thanks to our Patreons and YouTube members. You're helping to support us so we can do these crazy projects and also so we can keep bringing tons of content here on YouTube. If you're seeing this on another platform and it's not YouTube, forgive me, but we recirculate this all over the World Wide Web so you can find help for your RC needs. Also, if you want to support us with one time, we have YouTube Super Thanks and PayPal. But at the end of the day, we'd rather you get a transmitter, get a battery. She's counting down, telling me the voltage is low.
Oh.
And we'd rather you just get a plane because we want you out of the chair and in the air. We're gonna help get you there on Brian Phillips RC. So guys, thanks for being here with us. More flight footage to come. And if you have questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below. We'll do our best to help you out as much as we can. We've been doing it for almost 10 years now, and we're super excited. We started out kind of with the HobbyKing thing, and now we're coming full circle as they are really improving and making something of their lines. So really excited to be bringing this to you. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. Check out the unbox right now if you haven't seen it, or if you need help setting up differential thrust. Yes, you can translate what we do on this plane to much of any other plane, pretty much any other plane that needs differential thrust. You can copy it in a plug and play or plug and fly format. And so that's why we go through the painstaking process of filming it. All right, guys, let us know what you thought of the video. Let us know what you think of this plane down in the comments below. By the way, comes with both noses and it comes with floats. The floats have good hardware. We just haven't put them on yet, and we will film that at some point. Maybe not the other nose. Our nose fit better with this one, so we like this one. That's what we're probably gonna stick with. All right, that's all we got. Stay tuned. More flight footage and all sorts of content right around the corner on Brian Phillips RC. Thanks for watching. Come back for more. YouTube is Brian Phillips. Avios 1.6 meter twin otter. It's amazing. Yes. Check it out right now. It comes with different noses. Ours came with floats, and there's a bug riding. Look, the bug. Get off of there, bug. Differential thrust. We set it up. We'll show you exactly how to do it. Soft tires, very squishy, beautiful setup. Really happy with this plane. Long unbox build radio setup, but remember, sometimes a long build means a good plane, and other times a long build means you don't want the plane. This one is the former, okay? All right, throttle cuts off. We'll demonstrate thrust reverse real quick. There, it's on. And yes, thrust reverse is differential, so we'll show you real quick. Very cool. Forward thrust, same thing. Differential thrust, and we'll take off. STOL style, booyah! 2200 4S. Who would have thought you could get that type of power out of a small battery, okay? Out of the flaps now. Guys, this thing, AS3X Plus, makes it happen. You do not have to fly like this. You can also tool around and just utter relaxation. No, I didn't start the fire. We should go fly in that smoke.
I think it's a little further away than that, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah.
It's not bad. So guys, Avios, AKA HobbyKing, beautiful. Look at that, not even a smooth landing, and it just handles it. Those soft tires are phenomenal. It is just another reason why our ask for soft tires is well within the reasonable order of requests that we've had over the years, okay? Having soft tires is not unreasonable. And look at the power, guys. Just amazing. You hear it scream? Let's go over by the bowl for a minute. We'll just keep doing this while the camera crew gets into position. Yes, I did set this up with safe. Good there. Right there. Perfect. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man, where have you been, Spring? Waiting around the other side of the planet. That's where you've been. I know. You were with your mistress, called the Eastern Hemisphere. Well, actually, it would have been the Southern Hemisphere. Sorry. Right?
Yes.
I was going to take it.
I thought you were thinking about it, I could tell.
Guys, look at how nice that is. This thing is awesome off-road, or if you prefer, on-road. It doesn't matter because it'll take off quick anyway. And that's why I love it. It just does what you want, and it does it right now. Man, that looks gorgeous. So guys, the AS3X Plus has been phenomenal. We've really enjoyed our experience. Obviously on this model, it has really got it locked in nicely. And those lights, those day bright lights, oh, it's so good. Here we go, we'll just do a hover for you here. Guys, that's me, not a more skilled pilot, okay? So you gotta say something. When I can do it, what does Tommy Lasorda say? If I can do it, you can do it. And for those of you that are not old enough to know what I'm talking about, Tommy Lasorda was a fat guy and he lost weight. If he can do it, oh wait, I think he might have also been an NFL coach or something like that.
Yeah, I think that was
something minor.
Maybe kind of it.
If an NFL coach can do it, obviously you can. That's all I got to say. Touch and go. Look at this thing. It just makes you want to fly. It's just an amazing experience. And it's not just because it's spring and I'm excited to be flying. It's because the plane is awesome. You got to get one. 1.5 meter twin otter from HobbyKing. Get one. Get them while they're hot. They're going to disappear. They're going to be gone. You're going to wish you had one. I'm going to wish you had one because this plane is a joy. And look at those lights. That is why we want lights manufacturers, so we can see our planes. And yes, the anti-crash beacon is absolutely amazing, guys. Look at the anti-crash tail beacon. Even flying off into the sunset is just fantastical. Yes, that's a word. Kickoff flaps, landing flaps. Oh yeah! And thrust reverse going to town. So guys, I gotta say the thrust reverse is awesome on this plane. And yes, you can make it look like only one engine works, which is super fun. And I gotta say, I'm gonna do the other side now. Also in thrust reverse, yes, it does help you back in the correct orientation, which is very nice. We'll show you how to do all that mixing. And yes, it will help tremendously on float flights, which you will get in due time. So please be patient with us. It is, after all, just barely spring here in Iowa. Did you feel that thrust?
I did.
That was crazy. I thought it was wind. It was actually the plane. So yes, this is probably my most energetic flight that we've had. We've had three. Not sure what order you're gonna see them or if you're gonna see all three of them because they might be very similar. Our maiden flight felt good. I have 0 clicks of trim. Don't believe me? Look at my trim. You guys see that? Nothing. Now safe. Check this out. Look at that thing level. Beautiful. Up, level. Down, level. Beautiful. And then yes, you can still fly it because I open up the window, the flight envelope, wider. And that is super easy to do and super effective. And we'll teach you exactly how to do it in our Unbox Build radio setup. Now, back to AS3X Plus. Let's land it right at our feet. Okay. This is why I love this plane. And planes with thrust reverse. Watch this. That is an incredibly short final. Guys, it was like 399 feet above us when that happened. Or something like that. It's just a guess. I don't really know. So I gotta say, I like a lot of planes, and you guys know I love scale, and I love general aviation, and I love twins, especially nice, big, squishy pair, right? Mm-hmm. Here it is, guys. Check this out. Oh yeah, beautiful. Nice stall turn. Good job, me. Okay, let's see if we can do it the other way. Oh yes, you can. That's one thing that's really nice about differential thrust is you can do stall turns both ways and still pull it off. You don't have to depend on the torque roll effect. It's so much fun. Guys, it's like a half pipe. It's like Tony Hawk had a love child with a twin Otter. That's what this plane would look like. I wonder what Tony Hawk would think about me making a reference to him in a love child of airplanes.
With airplanes?
Yeah.
I don't know. What is Tony Hawk doing these days?
I'm not sure. Being tall and rich?
He's like really, he's older than us, isn't he?
I'm sure he is. He's a lot better at riding, what does he do?
Skateboards.
Skateboards. I was gonna say motorcycles. I don't know why I couldn't think of skateboard. Goodness gracious, you call yourself an RC reviewer? I do, kind of, maybe.
We're not skateboard reviewers.
That's true, we're not.
We would
So
probably
guys,
die doing that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've only had one brain injury.
Yeah.
So, guys, I gotta say, if you haven't already considered this plane, I was on the fence about it. I thought, okay, it's another twin Otter. No, I didn't say that at all. But I did say this. I don't know if it's gonna be as good as I expected to be because it looked a little bit cartoony to me. Here's the thing. The thing actually has a lot of scale details. You can see the canopy, you can see the cockpit. The longer nose cone might help sell it for people that want the different model. Yes, it does come off with magnets. The props are beautiful. They're painted. There's one piece, two pieces that I added to this plane that were not included. One is an extension cord, so I could go from where the Y cable would break out in a little breakout box, and that is for separating the ESC. So I could do differential thrust. We'll show you the entire process. You could also just, I mean, you could probably use the Y cable as provided to do the same thing if you really needed to. But in our case, we got it all set up. You can separate out the nose gear the way we did it. You have a spare channel still because we have 8360T is what we went with. You can technically do this with an AR 637T or a 630 or 631, but I would recommend going to the 8360T, and I did not set up Crow. Here's why. It really doesn't need it. And I know that's a lame terminology to use because we don't really need radio controlled, except we do. We need them. So if you want to do it, all you have to do is add one more extension cord. So that'd be two things that you would have added. And then I put my shelf liner in under the battery.
Yep.
Okay. Full disclosure, my battery is all the way front to hit the CG mark, which is 50 millimeters back. So it's right about here. And that's what it takes to balance it with this battery. Although this battery is fairly light. Okay. The Smart Packs might be slightly lighter than some of the other Turnigy offerings. Go ahead and use whatever meets your fancy. Okay. On our first flight, I knocked out my dragger skid thing. You don't have to put the extension on, which looks like a paper clip basically. Show the people. See that? Mm-hmm. Yep. So I knocked that out. So I glued that back in. Full disclosure, used some China glue. This is our third flight. Each one has been progressively better. And I am really excited about this plane. I think it is really well done. It's got a lot of size to it. It's got a good wing shape. It's got good performance. It flies slow, but it doesn't fly slow. You can fly slow, but it doesn't fly slow. It's not doggy. And there's a difference. And here's the thing, okay? Just comparing it to a similar twin from a competitive offering, EC1500 that I crashed over here, that flies heavy. It's got an opening door, which is nice. You can drop stuff out of it. It's considerably more expensive. It's a bind and fly, okay? This thing is considerably cheaper. It's absolutely gorgeous. This has a little bit more scale appeal because of the glass windows, and there are glass windows down the side, but the foam blocks the view through. So if you got really excited with an X-Acto knife, you could make them all show through. My suggestion, don't do that because I think it's there for structure. Okay, a couple other things. It's a lot lighter on its feet than its competitive bigger brother offering, but you can't put as many batteries in here because you can put enough batteries in the EC1500 to actually run like your Tesla
EC1500
for 3 weeks, okay? But in this thing, well, plus my EC1500 is dead and no longer.
Yes,
okay?
it is.
You wanna know why? Because I set up way too much differential thrust and I got myself into an unrecoverable stall because of pilot error and also because the differential thrust was just too much, okay? That's why I set this to 30% and not like 100%, because I could do 100%, I could probably go up there and do flat spins. Flat spins are really fun to show off. And then it's kind of like, it just does anything, and I don't like that. It's so weird. There's a cat hunting over here. But what I've found is that when a plane is too easy to fly, I kind of almost lose interest in it. It's weird. It's hard to put your finger on it. But I know some of you guys are thinking of a plane that's in your repertoire. It's a very well-built plane. It's easy to fly, but it's kind of like, meh, okay? That's not this thing, okay? I love it. It flies good. It flies easy, but it does it in the right way, which is sort of subjective, I realize. Oh, and then also, I forgot to set up my expo for the first flight, so we do show that at the end of our first flight. We did our standard 5%, full rates 100%, or 5% expo, and then we did 10% expo with 100% rates, and then 90% rates and 20% expo. We've been flying in the middle setting this whole time this evening. And by the way, what a beautiful evening. This plane does all the things you want it to do, and it does it better than you expected it might do it. You're gonna wanna get one. Check it out. Link is in the video description below. Yes, camera crew?
Are you taking off again?
Yes.
Okay, because I was gonna say, if somebody does a 6-channel receiver and they lose thrust reverse, how far is it gonna roll out?
Not bad. If you're gonna give up a feature, thrust reverse is not what I would give up. Here's why. This is a float plane. I don't wanna be sitting on the shore trying to do this.
So you give up differential?
No.
So you have to get an 8360T?
Yep, and that cat's digging. I have to go scare it, watch out. Guys, we love our animals.
Unless she's getting a mouse or a vole.
Huh?
Unless she's getting a mouse or a vole.
Hey! Hey!
She's after something.
Yeah, maybe she is. Maybe she's after a turtle. Ew.
A turtle?
Yeah, she's next to the septic system.
She's a good hunter. Oh.
That took you way too long to figure out. Plus, that's gross.
That's gross.
So guys, here on Brian Phillips RC, we want you to find success, and we're gonna help you get there if you need it. You probably don't need as much help after 4 or 5 videos. This one's gonna be a long one, but if you need help setting up differential thrust on a different plane, please do watch this one. It will help get you there. Yeah, she's eating something.
Yeah.
She's got it in her mouth. I don't know what it is. I'm hoping it's a big, juicy vole.
Hopefully.
Man, I just can't believe how long this thing goes too.
I know.
10 to 11 minutes of flight time on 2200 4S for a 1600 millimeter plane just seems almost like impossible. Okay, and watch the sync rate. The sync rate is flawless. Oh man, it's gorgeous. Hard on the throttle. We gotta be getting close. Oh, she's chiming. We're at 13 volts, beautiful. Time to land. I love that you can do these short field ops, both up and down, folks. It's not just gonna slam it into the ground. And I gotta say, I'm trying to demonstrate how bouncy these tires are with my terrible landings. Wink, wink, wink. Wow, that's beautiful over there. Look at that. This plane makes you want to fly again. That's the way I'm gonna describe it. So, to sum it up into one phrase, I wanna fly it again. That's what this plane does. I fly a lot of planes. We have lots and lots of planes. Some of them, I'm good with one flight. It's a little bit rare. This is definitely not one of them.
Yeah.
I wanna fly this thing a bunch. Not only are the conditions great, but this plane is great. You will not regret getting it. Definitely check it out. About the time that you're like 3 to 4 hours into your build, you might be cursing my name for just a minute, but I just wanna remind you, just because it takes us 5.5 hours to film something doesn't mean it's gonna take you 5.5 hours to put it together. I think that the average dude that's putting this together, that's used to building, probably a couple hours build. It's not a hard build, it's just a lot of pieces. It's a lot of steps. It's not tedious or difficult, although I did use that word a couple of times during the build with cable management, okay?
Yes.
It's not near as bad as some planes we've done. It's definitely not a Dynam.
No.
And by the way, the thing goes together and it looks good, even up close. However, there's a couple of loose ends that they could touch up on, and that would be the paint match is a little bit weak here, and it shows, okay? Dark red, light red, dark red, not quite a perfect match, but it still shows good in the air. It's not a big deal. I think it's well within the expectations at price point, okay? Now, if you spent 4 times or 5 times or 6 times as much on the Big Brother that's offered right now, and the paint rips off when you take it out of the package, you might be a little bit more pissed off. I've heard stories of these things. But I gotta say, Twin Otter, Avios, who would have thought?
Love it.
Amazing. Very good. And yes, you extend your twilight hours by so long because of these bright lights.
Look at the lights on the ground. I was just gonna say. You
Yep,
can see
you
it
can
on
even
the
see
ground.
those on the ground.
Yeah.
And yes, we did film it with the sun out and bright.
Yes.
And you can see them in the day bright. Okay, so what's not to like about this plane? Very, very, very little, okay? The tail hooky thing breaks out if you're not careful. Once it breaks the first time, glue it a lot more. That's what I did. Hasn't broke out yet. Sometimes when you thrust reverse, it'll stick that tail hooky thing into the ground. You don't have to put it in. You can just leave the little plastic tail skid. I would recommend the tail skid, okay? Because this thing does like to kind of fall down on its tail, okay? What else? Wiring, cable management, it's kind of a pain during the build. It's a little bit complicated. They do a nice little breakout board. Mine was hanging out, I had to glue it. No big deal. Those are the low lights. But I gotta say, those are very small low lights.
Very.
I mean, very, like almost non-existent. And the fact that it flies on a very common pack that's cheap to get, cheap to charge, cheap to get running. It's not like you need a 6S pack to fly this thing, okay?
And it comes with the floats, which is not very common anymore.
Well, it depends on what you're buying. But I'm gonna tell you this, the floats look nice. There's no water rudder. I was disappointed by that, but we're not float flying this yet. So we're gonna give you our take on the floats later. But with differential thrust, we should be able to sit there and do this. And yes, I might go into my mix and kick those differential values up so that we can turn on a dime in the water, point it to the wind instead of wind vaning and be at the mercy of Mother Nature, okay? So we've hopefully answered a lot of questions. This was a really educational video for us. We do that mostly when it's a real beginner-oriented plane, but on this plane, there was just a lot of steps, and we wanted to keep you guys safe so you can use your throttle cut and have the mixes work. And when you shut off your transmitter, you don't have this thing turning on to 50%, because that's what could happen if you do it wrong. So be careful out there. If you don't know how to do it, watch our video. We'll give you lots of pointers. We'll get you 99% of the way. The other 1% is gonna be subjectivity, and we're just gonna let you guys decide on that stuff. But I'm gonna tell you this right now. I really like the way it flies. I like the experience of flying it. I mean, it far outweighs any difficulty from the unbox build radio setup.
Yes.
Okay? And not every plane that's a pain to build outweighs the pain to build, okay? And I can think of like 4 or 5 examples. I'm not gonna throw them out there right now. But compared to the competitive offerings, I am very, very happy with this plane. And I gotta say, HobbyKing, keep it up. You're doing good. I wanna see more like this, and I wanna see them yesterday, okay? So get them here, and we're gonna get the word out. If people aren't already aware, this is what we do. Okay, leave it in the comments below if you have questions about this, or if you have concerns, or maybe you ran into some weird problem on yours. We can open a dialogue and talk about it. The other thing too is, if you want to help support Brian Phillips RC and you already a Patreon, we have links to that down below for monthly support. Same thing with YouTube monthly support through membership. We appreciate you guys being members. We appreciate you guys being Patreons. And then also one-time super thanks are always helpful. And then PayPal for one-time donations are always appreciated. And there are people that do this. I can't hardly believe it still. We just say it because we want to give people options. And then we always come back to this 100% of the time, because I cannot let those words come out of my lips and not say, we're really here so you'll buy RC. We want you flying RC. We want you enjoying RC. We want you growing in the hobby. We want you dragging all of your friends into the hobby like the virus that it is. And do it today, because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. Guys, get out of the chair and into the air. It's spring in the air right now. So take advantage, because tomorrow it's probably gonna storm. It's spring, okay? Avios, good job. HobbyKing, good job. We're very happy to report good experiences. It makes our lives so much easier. And also, we love doing it, okay? When things work well, it helps improve our hobby. It gives people better experiences, and it helps prevent one and dones. Those are all things that we're trying to do on this channel. So when we see something good, we praise it highly because it works. because it's worth it. This is great. Get one. All right, questions, comments, leave them down below. Not sure what video you're seeing first, but we got 3 flights. Not sure if you're gonna see all 3, if you're gonna see 2, or even just 1, but one way or another, all 3 were very good. We had a great experience with all 3 flights. I wanna fly more, but the sun's down. I wanna let my kids play outside for a little bit. And by the way, that's where the road's gonna continue. 120 feet extension coming soon. There's gonna be a T that goes right there, and it goes all the way down there to the other side. The base is going in as soon as next week, if all goes to plan. So the money will be flowing out of the wallet like the salmon of Capistrano. It's gonna be very painful. Have you not seen Dumb and Dumber? Goodness gracious. And then over there, that building will happen shortly after we have beat the heck out of this for months. And so we're not sure. We might have kind of a weird looking runway. In fact, this would be great if you drive off of gravel, because I think those wheels are big enough you could get away with it.
They might handle it.
But we're super excited and also a little bit stressed out because there's so much about to happen, and it's gonna be scary and also super exciting. So be along for the ride. If you wanna learn what it's like, we'll teach you what we can teach you publicly. And then for those of you who wanna know what it's really, really like, you can hit us up on a private matter. And that being said, we do occasionally do subscriber specials. I don't know if you guys caught on to it, but the other day, we had one of our subscribers in a video, but it was a hidden. Yeah.
Has that already been released? Oh, yeah.
Has it been released?
Yes.
Yes, it has. That's right. So we had an airline pilot here with us. So one of our subscribers.
Super fun.
That was super fun. So thanks for coming. I'm not going to mention your name in case you were supposed to be working. But that's all right. That's what we do. We live the aviation and RC experience here on Brian Phillips RC. We're not just faking it for the camera. Believe me, you should see my living room. Stay tuned. More to come.